after 9 o'clock. I got Dr. Aaron Chapa in studio. There's a lot of goodies that we have also in studio. If you're listening, go ahead and share this out. If you can hear my voice, I'm going to kick this on our FM. We're going to have some fun. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. My name is Gardy, and it is 9:05 on a beautiful Tuesday. That means I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center here in studio, hanging out, having some fun. Dr. Chapa, how you doing? You brought a bunch of supplements and some other toys, it looks like.
Yeah, dude, I just kind of like, there's so many things that whirl around my head. I actually listened to a book this morning about how to create tiny superhumans by Ben Greenfield. And if you don't follow Ben Greenfield, he is just a wealth of knowledge and a believer of the faith, loves Christ, loves inspiring people, enlightening people up, and educating people. And so you should visit his, some of his podcasts. They'll blow your mind. But, I was listening to just this idea of, like, creating tiny superhumans. So anybody that has kids wants their kid to have an edge, right?
Right.
And we're all starting back school. And then yesterday I'm listening to not one, not two, but about 5 or 6 different moms that had guilt coming into my office taking care of themselves. And I just want to speak to you moms out there and let y'all know that y'all are worth it, man. Like, without the moms, we are, as husbands, doomed, and as children, lost. And I just really want to emphasize, like, how much I value the ladies out there, that are doing their part to either provide for their family financially or to lead the home front, or a combination of both. And so I had so many, possible ways that I could take this morning. Number one, I just wanted to, let you guys know you're worth it. And I don't want you to ever forget that taking care of you is like putting your oxygen mask on first so that you can take care of those around you. Because women make 80% of the health decisions in the households across the globe. And I don't know exactly why it is that way, other than most of the time, specifically in the last 100 years, dad is off at work for a portion of the day, and so there is the moms around the kids a lot more. Mm-hmm. And so if that is the case, then we also want to make sure that we're educating parents on how to take better care of themselves. And I've talked about it often, but I just can't stop talking about it enough, which is the power of the endocrine system, the power of stimulating the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the thyroid, the adrenal glands, and the gonadal system. And because if a parent has a strong constitution, oftentimes it is a direct proportional relationship to a strong endocrine system. And every time I turn around, I listen to stories and I listen to people even if they're retired and don't have quote unquote stresses of life like they had possibly when they were hitting deadlines and chasing schedules, they still carry a level of stress. Maybe it's just internal. I even witnessed this in my own child this morning. I've got one kid that, she does not, nothing gets in the way of her sleep. She loves sleeping.
It's a nice way to say
it. And then I have another kid that literally told herself last night she was waking up at 5:45, and she woke up at 5:45, and she was downstairs and goes, I told my brain to wake up at 5:45, and here I am, but I'm really tired. And I said, let me ask you a question. Did you sleep good last night? She goes, no, I was up like every hour. She was worried, sick about waking up at 5:45.
Yeah.
And I go, honey, that is not, you don't have to worry. We're not going to leave you in bed for a school day, And I'm like, so it's just neat to see, like, the dynamics of personalities. But we've got some people that are real, lackadaisical, and we got some people that are like stress monkeys. And we've got to, you got to know yourself a little bit. You got to recognize who you are, and then know how, so you can better support some of your body's way. Like, I'm not trying to change that in my child. I don't know if I can unwind that. She is as hardwired as I am, which is, to her chagrin probably, because I hate to say it, like, I stress about stupid stuff, and the tools that are on the table are things that help me de-stress.
Something I want to touch on real quick. You mentioned about being aware. knowing how you are. A lot of times I run into people and I don't think that they're self-aware, and that's when it's important to have those relationships, whether that's a husband, a spouse, a mentor, a friend who will tell you the truth that isn't always easy to communicate. And you've touched on that before, and I think that's important. But we have a bunch of tools in here and some toys as well, right?
And I'll go back to that, like having somebody that you allow to speak into your life.
And you trust.
And that you trust, and that they trust you, even whenever they tell you something that doesn't necessarily jive. Like, we all want that confirmation bias, right? It's okay for me to go buy the car. It's okay for me to drop $1,000 on something, that I don't probably need.
Yeah.
And, we always look for confirmation bias in some respect so we can rationalize our behavior or, heaven forbid, rationalize bad behavior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, I love the book Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. And I wanted to talk about that, but there's just so many things to discuss when I come on the air, and especially some of the stuff that kind of hits me in the urgent. Like, it really bothered me yesterday seeing the mom guilt. Like, that really bothered me because, like, where have we gone wrong in society in somebody feeling bad about taking care of themselves? We've talked about it. An ounce of prevention's worth a
pound of cure.
How do you measure that?
Right.
I mean, how can you put a value on that? And so, and I hate saying this, because but it's true too. Is you pay now or you pay later? The problem is cutting down a mammoth oak tree is going to cost you a significantly more dollar amount and time commitment potentially than pulling weeds. You know what I mean? Not that they're necessarily the same, but seeds grow into something.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all seen weed gardens that have grown beyond a reasonable level, and you have to go out there and do really crazy things to mess with
I've owned one.
Yeah. I've got one right now. And and as much as I want to be a green thumb, like we're just so busy that we don't even take 15, 20 minutes to get out there and pull. But much less, what if these potential seedlings turn into something of disease in our body that could have been managed very easily with a little adrenal stimulant?
Yeah.
This is a product called Adrena Stem. I have one called Adrena Calm, and I use them differently. So like if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and I'm a little ramped up, Adrenal Calm might be something and I like these creams too because they have essential oils in there and they regulate cortisol. They help calm down the adrenals, and they serve the body really uniquely. And so it helps a person get off the wrong side of the bed and kind of restart their day without going back to bed, because it's not realistic to go back, and crawl in and actually get out. But maybe you should. I mean, as a straight up metaphor, right?
Restart the day.
Restart. Yep. Let's just hit the reset button. And so having tools in your tool bag, especially if you don't like swallowing pills, these creams kind of work good. I also have liquids ideas and things of that nature to help serve the body. So, being who I am and recognizing myself, I'm high strung. I get stressed easy. I worry about stupid things. And so holy basil is one of my special tools that I discovered many years ago from one of my mentors. This thing's got over 500 milligrams of holy basil, either from different sources of holy basil. But what this stuff does is it does a lot of things in the body: cognitive support, immune support. But what I have found this to be the most powerful thing is it's just like an anti-worry pill. Okay, and I've never found a product that has this much concentration. I have other products that have some holy basil in it. Adaptocrine, one of my very favorites. I talked about it last week and many weeks prior, and we'll talk about it probably forever. It's got holy basil in it, but it doesn't have a lot of holy basil in it. But one of the other reasons I like that product is it has holy basil in it. But what holy basil does is, I tell people they won't know how good this stuff is until they run out. They will, and what I was always noticing about myself is I would be worrying about dumb things all the time. I mean, just things that were completely and utterly irrational that I thought I could control, can't control. And so, therefore, I was introduced to this product, and literally, like twice a day, taking this stuff mellowed me out, and I just didn't worry as much about those things that I couldn't control. And so I ran out, and literally within about 2 weeks, I noticed, oh my gosh, I'm worrying about stuff. And it took me a little while to figure out what I'd done wrong. And I realized,
Holy basil.
I forgot the holy basil, And so I went and grabbed me another bottle. I took this stuff for 3 years straight, and now I rarely take it because I don't need it as much. It's like when you train the body to manage in the stresses of life, when you train the body to deal with the worry, and you have tools, it's as if your body becomes adapt. It adapts to learning how to manage the stress response more effectively. And so I don't actually take this product every day. And sometimes I go to it and take it just because, I miss you. That's so dumb. I have all these relationships with these herbs.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah.
But I was listening to a book this past week about, he's an herbalist, and he was talking about this really hardcore science about all these different herbs and how these things affect our body from a endocrine perspective, how they regulate our cortisol, how they regulate blood flow to the hormonal axis, and making sure that a woman's cycle is balanced, or a male's mood is stable, or making sure that the energy and vitality is where it needs to be. And that's what happens when you support the endocrine system. The endocrine system we call the hormonal endocrine axis, or the hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, adrenal axis. People use these just synonymous words, but they're talking about potency. They're talking about how to upregulate a person, bolster a person, strengthen a person so that they adapt to life and the curveballs of life more easily. Because tomorrow's promised to no one, right?
Right.
I think that's a bitter pill to swallow. There's no guarantee that just because you take a bunch of vitamins or that you eat healthy that you're going to have a long, fruitful life. I don't think that is a promise that we can stand on. Our chances are a lot higher, right? If we're gambling, I think the percentage is in your favor that who you want to become at the end of your life is more a predictor of how you take care of yourself in those seedling stages, so that when you grow the oak tree, you grow the oak tree of health and vitality and longevity, as opposed to the oak tree of disease and destruction. Who wants disease and destruction? Nobody. Who wants life and vitality? Who wants longevity? Who wants to look at their life and become something better than they were every day from the prior day? Like I want today to be better. So they're mental gymnastics of things that we have to do. I was telling Dash, I was like, 'cause it was so hot yesterday. I was like, man, I was so hot all day. I mean, I was just sweating in my pants, and I'm like, good Lord, I'm glad I have these like wick-away pants. You know what I mean? So nobody can tell. I didn't pee on myself, and he goes, my brain was sweating yesterday. And I said, oh, you did a lot of mental gymnastics yesterday. He said, yes, it took forever, because school started, and he's got to do hours upon hours of school now. And he's maturing, right? And he's starting to, realize now he's got to do work. He's kind of went to a new grade level of maturity. And he's really good at it. But don't we all need mental gymnastics, So I was really happy when he said my brain was sweating yesterday, and I'm like, that's cool, he's learning, because I use words like mental gymnastics. And so anyway, so these are some things that are all about up-regulating and turning on the glandular system in the body. And another great one right here called BioDrive. This product called BioDrive, it's funny if you look at the workup around this, and you got to remember, guys, these companies that make these products, they create them with some sort of intent, or some sort of marketing ploy to sell the idea. This one, I take a lot, okay, and but when you look at the workup on it, it says increases female libido, and
nice.
and so every guy's like, oh, I want 6 of those. Because they're going to give it to their spouses, right? And I'm thinking, well, but herbs know no gender. So when I take this product, I'm not looking at it necessarily to increase libido. I'm looking at it to increase vitality in that endocrine axis. Because what happens is when the endocrine axis is at its peak, when it's super strong, what begins to occur is the communication in the way my brain and my my hormonal system, my immune system, and my peripheral nervous system communicate, enhance the way I interact with the day. Which, if you've got gusto at the end of the day, guess what? Of course your libido is going to be better. But it's not necessarily a libido product, because what if you're just somebody that is so run down, you just need a little kick in the pants? This product to be that helper to you. The Damiana in there is fantastic. The different adrenal herbs that are in there, I believe it's rhodiola there on the top.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it's got a slew of different plant material that is designed to drive, I think, stinging nettles there at the bottom, nettle leaf or something.
And then American Panax ginseng.
Panax ginseng for blood flow. So what it's doing is it's regulating the brain blood flow to your endocrine axis down through the hormonal chain to make sure that the thyroid, adrenals, and gonads are getting the stimulation that they need. And so I always want people to recognize that herbs know no gender. So when you look at a label and if it has a weird write-up on it, that is not specific to your gender, herbs don't care.
Yeah.
They're going to upregulate accordingly. And when we formulate things to create a really nice push and stimulation in an area to serve the people. And then simply a way that you can turn on the pituitary, thyroid, adrenals, and ovarian axis or testicular axis, depending on male or female, is the Simplex product. One of my very favorites. This has the materials designed to feed your endocrine system. So where BioDrive or the Adrenacom or Adaptocrine are asking the body to do a job, a product like this is food for the endocrine axis. And when we stimulate the pituitary through food, you get a different action, because now you're not asking it to work. You're actually giving him a massage, if you will. You're nourishing the tissue. And when you nourish the tissue, one of the things that occurs is the body needs to be refined. It needs to be in a regenerative state. Often, because we live in a culture today where we are pushing the envelope. We are being pushed so hard in all directions, pulled in so many different directions, that we're not maximizing our ability to recover. And so therefore sleep is altered. And so if you're somebody that struggles in the sleep department, you're not healing. You're setting yourself up for failure, because your body's not regenerating from yesterday's hard work, mental gymnastics, or physical activity. And so we're always trying to come in and lift the body and stimulate the body. So I use the herbs to regulate some of the functions of the body to make sure that the body doesn't overheat, if you will, and make sure that the body has the stimulatory power to do the job I'm asking it to do to get through the day. But if you don't feed the endocrine axis, you're really missing a part of its benefit and beauty. And so the Simplex product is food. I have another one called Neonatal Multigland. It's a generic product for that glandular feeding concept as well. And I love the ability to come in and feed the body with glandular support, the mineral template of these tissues, because the mineral template allows it to be served a meal, if you will, and says, "Oh, I have a silver platter here, Mr. Pituitary. Would you like a serving?" Of course, I would love a serving. And then people don't realize that when you upregulate your pituitary, you're not just making your endocrine system, your stress management system, your hormonal system better. You're making your stomach and digestive system better. There is a connection between the pituitary and people having a weak pituitary and being prone to ulcers, or indigestion, reflux, and stomach distress. Isn't that interesting? And it goes, we have to appreciate that just because a person doesn't have a hormonal wrecked life, maybe they got acid reflux and indigestion, and they can't ever seem to digest their food well. I talked to a lady yesterday, and she has 7 bowel movements a day, but what if in her case, I told her, I said, well, I still think you have what I call dirty bowel syndrome, where you've got your food's going through your system too fast. You don't have the ability to reach and grab nutrients. Your silver platter is like racing by so fast, and you're like, oh, I wanted some of that, and I didn't get it. And so we have to improve digestion in order to make sure that things aren't getting stuck on the walls of the intestine and at that microscopic level. Too often we assume that just because our colonoscopy doesn't show an ant hill mound of garbage caked on the walls, that our bowels are clear. But we don't understand that at the microscopic level, where digestion, where absorption, where those little microbiome is down there whittling away at those nutrients into something that your body can absorb through these little microscopic holes designed to go into these cells that then allow them to cross over membranes to get into your bloodstream, to be delivered to your tissues, is waiting. And so if you've got a lot of quote-unquote barricades, dams, or blockades preventing nutrition from even starting the digestive process, because those microvilli in your microbiome in your digestive tract are wrecked because of a lack of blood flow, because your stress is so high. Well, how you set yourself up for failure every day just through food. Dr. Chapa, I'm eating everything I'm supposed to eat. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and I'm still not losing weight, or I'm still not, my thyroid's still not balanced, or I'm still feeling like my sleep is distressed, or I still have allergies, or some sort of problem. Well, again, you're only as good as the food you can absorb. So if you've never, this is where we kind of shift gears and we talk about the power of detoxification, the power of cleansing the GI tract. I mean, 80%, according to my upbringing, all disease starts in the gut, until I read a book recently. Fourth paragraph, fourth page. It was a book. It was called "We Are 10% Human and we're 90% Bugs," and it said that 100% of all disease, all problems, all good things even start in the gut. So if you don't have never invested in your digestive tract, then you need to come talk to us. Let us teach you how to investigate and expect something that you can inspect, and start moving you forward in daily disciplines, in practice, so that you feel good all the days of your life. Isn't that good news?
That is great news. Who doesn't want to feel good all the days of your life, right?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's always easy, and I'm not going to say that every day is perfect for me, but I'm going to say that I have more good days than bad days. I have more extraordinary days than I don't. I always strive to start my day on top, as opposed to let the overwhelm overtake me, right? But too often, I give thanks to God that I have tools that I can reach for. He said that every seed-bearing plant is there for you to use. And I've read plenty of books, from believers of the faith to people that don't believe in the faith, that all agree that for every poison, there's an antidote in a 3-to-1 ratio. There's 3 to 4 antidotes to a poison in your immediate environment. And so as we continue talking about upregulating the endocrine axis and making sure, because I think that one of the ways we get over mommy guilt or daddy guilt, or just this idea of I'm not worth taking care of myself, whatever the reason, we then take it up a notch. So we've been talking about using herbs to stimulate and drive function, and then we talked about Simplex and the neonatal multigland to drive food to the endocrine axis. We go up one level, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is another important, I call it the mothership of the endocrine axis. The mothership, discovered in the late 50s, and this product here is an amazing food, again, extract for feeding the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is where science agrees that God lives in the body. Now, we all, as believers of Christ, know that God can live anywhere He pleases, and He lives in every tissue, cell, organ, gland in our body, and rightfully so. And we should be thankful that He even wants to dwell amongst our in and through our bodies. But science says this is the gateway into the fifth dimension, how you see beyond yourself. That's pretty cool. Well, what if you have a dented hypothalamus? What if you've had tragedy happen? it dents your hypothalamus. It skews the way you see reality. So if you meet people, or if yourself have ever looked in the mirror and says, "Man, I've become jaded." You ever heard somebody say that?
Mm-hmm.
And or you remember they were this way at one point in their life, and then something happened, and they seemed like they were just never the same person, right? And a lot of times that could be because the endocrine axis has taken on enough blows, taken on too much water, and all of a sudden it's weighted down. Its ability to manufacture healthy communication to the downstream endocrine system, the pituitary, thyroid, adrenal, gonadal axis, is now skewed. And when it skews that communication downstream, your ability to have a good, healthy reaction time or response time is off. Your ability to recover from yesterday's to-dos is off. Your ability to move into today and choose extraordinary today and to be better than you were yesterday is skewed. And that is a scary thought. But the good news is you can turn it around just by being disciplined in some of these ideas of stimulating, feeding, and nourishing these key systems in your body. And you should have no guilt around it. Here I am giving it to you, this information for free, so that you can take it and apply it and put it into practice day in and day out and watch what happens. Your system will turn on in ways that it hasn't ever been able to. Your ability to recover from busy and crazy in your life whenever it's expected or even unexpected, you're in a space where you can get traction again. And instead of being off, instead of finding birds hitting your windshield or no luck at all seeming, what you're going to find is you're going to start picking up quarters on the ground and go, "Man, in God we trust," 25 times. That's what we say. Mm-hmm. The other day I found this really cool stack of pennies glued together in the parking lot. Seriously? And I said, "Dash, check this out. I've never seen this one before. In God we trust, stacked, cubed." That's exponential, baby. And so it's all about perspective. I don't care if I got a handful of stuff. I'm stopping and I'm picking up a penny and I'm going to say, "In God we trust." Money comes easily and effortlessly to me because he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. I'm seeking him even in the simple things. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so these herbs, these nutrients, they're simple things. Why do we make it so complicated? I don't know. But we think that science, actually, I think, is a part of the problem, is that if it's not FDA approved, it can't be, trusted. Well, I don't know that I want the FDA to know all my trade secrets. I don't think I want them to know how powerful these things are. They might try to capitalize and take them away from the common people, the common man. I want to give people an opportunity to stack, cube, exponentially expand on their ability to be creative and do vibrant and wonderful, powerful things. And then here we are. We get to come on the show and just share some of these ideas and give you permission to take care of yourself. Isn't that good?
Yes. And you were mentioning the guilt, the mom, the dad that feel guilty, their family and stuff. And so this is your permission. You need to take care of yourself so you can take care of your family and your loved ones.
Yes. And I see a question. Hey, what probiotic? It says, what is pro-symbiotic good? Oh, hey. Okay, I got you.
That's my wife. What's up, Jennifer?
What's up, Jen? You want to sing us a tune? So pro-symbiotic is a probiotic. And it is fantastic for feeding the flora in the digestive tract. 1 twice a day is a good dose, and it's not a multivitamin. You don't need it every day forever and ever, amen. But you definitely, it's a part of what we use in our gut restoration programs. And especially if anybody's ever taken an antibiotic, which antibiotic, I want to just remind you, by definition, anti-life. That's what antibiotic means. So it blows up, atomic bomb, explosive disaster in your digestive tract. Not a good thing, especially if 100% of all life disease starts and stops in the gut, right? Mm-hmm. If we don't take care of the gut by allowing too many atomic bombs to go off. I look at antibiotics like 9 lives of a cat. You only have so many of those little buttons you can push before they stop working, number one, or destroy you, number two. And so I am a big proponent to feeding, nourishing, in what we call weeding and feeding the GI tract and detoxing, cleansing the GI tract. But I use probiotics, especially post-antibiotic, but I also use them in times where I'm doing some reseeding, where I'm cleansing in one respect 4 days a week, 3 days a week, and then I will come in and reseed 3 days a week, 4 days a week, depending on the rotation and the symptom patterns. Diarrhea, there's constipation, if there's just, seeming digestive particles in the toilet, and you're like, man, that's so not cool. And Jennifer's like,
thank you.
That's more than I wanted to know. No, but it is good. You got to know. You got to be comfortable with this, because this is how you learn to appreciate the tools that your body has through nutrient and supplemental activation from the outside world. And why do we need supplements? Why can't we get all this stuff from food? Well, I mean, how many of you guys are out there eating, animal parts like the liver? How many people are eating, chicken livers and chicken gizzards? And how many people are eating these different organ tissues? Nobody. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you better be okay taking a supplement that has this stuff in it. How many people are out there taking green leafy vegetables and different, exotic vegetables, which brings exotic minerals into the conversation? Very few. The average American's consuming about 3 to 5 veggies per week. That's not good. That's setting you up for digestive failure, because you're not putting in the nutrients in a dense enough ratio to create the proper regenerative repair process that we need every day. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So here's what I have to constantly help people be okay with. Hey, look, these are just tools, and I just have found and vetted out what I find is the working class of tools that you can count on day in and day out to take your body from where it is right now to where you want it to be tomorrow. And I get excited to have such simple. I literally look at these tools and I look, some people are going to start catching on that I talk about some of these concepts over and over and over again, and they're going to potentially tune off the podcast. Why? No, you trust me. I go back to the basics a lot. I pick up this bottle of AF Beta food and I go, I tell patients that when I stop taking this product, I will send out a mass email, a mass text, letting everybody know that I stopped taking beta food. I take about 15 of these every day, because it's so simple. When does the liver not need some love?
It always does,
It
right?
always does. Liver is the giver. The better you take care of your liver, the better it'll take care of you. It'll help you detoxify. It'll help you produce enzymes. It'll help your body, clean up messes in your GI tract. It'll help it break down certain types of food. It'll set you up for proper digestion. The liver's the giver, dude. It does so many great and amazing things. It's the quarterback to your lymphatics, to your kidneys, to your lungs. It is a massive player in every process of the body. I've always said there's 600 different known pathways. Somebody corrected me the other day. There's 1,500 known pathways. I'm going to just go ahead and just tell you it's involved in every pathway of the body. The liver is absolutely crucial. And so this is a product that is primarily beets, beet powder, and vegetables. So, the first 6 ingredients are different types of beets and beet leaves and beet stems and beet roots and yellow ones and red ones. And if you ever see the farm that builds these beets, you can take these beets and slide it over the top of your salad, and you won't go, ooh, bitter beet. You'll go, what was that red stuff that was amazing and great? When you smell it coming off the truck, going up the little conveyor belt to go through its washing process, it is phenomenal to see how big and beautiful and radiant, full of energy and life that it has. And I just go, yeah, I want some of that. I'll take 15 of those every day. Easy. And I like easy. That's the old KISS principle. Keep it simple, silly head. Wait a second, silly?
Yeah.
Can't
Keep
say
it
head.
simple, silly.
We got to be positive, right? This is this is KHEA Radio. We don't do anything negative on this show. It's always uplifting and encouraging.
That's true. That's true.
Make sure that you're always tuning in to our live stream. But forget not, Gardy, where can they find us?
If you search Just Live Well on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, make sure you subscribe to the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center podcast. You can go back and listen to every episode. It's all in there. It's archived, labeled, and you'll be able to go back and easily catch up on anything or refresh. Maybe there's one piece like, hey, what was that supplement that he said would do A, B, and C? You can go back and listen to it and check that out. So that's free for you. Go ahead and subscribe, share it with a friend. It will add some value to your life, 100%.
There's no doubt about it, and it just gets us fired up because, not only can we build tiny superhumans like we talked about earlier on. If you don't have tiny superhumans to build, then you can use the principles to build yourself into a superhuman. And, a lot of times it's the perfect practice, practiced often, regularly, as a daily discipline. I was in a slump one time, and it does happen, right, where, we're not always on our A game. And thankfully, I had, a patient come in, and, there's just some patients I have different relationships with, and this particular one, I was able to kind of say, man, I'm in a funk. I just don't want to read nothing. I don't want to listen to nothing. I like being here, when I'm here, but man, I struggle, coming in, and I struggle going home, and I just can't get I'm off. And I feel like maybe I'm doing everything I need to do. And she said something really great to me. She goes, well, don't worry about it. But there is one thing that you must do as a daily discipline, a practice that can't be missed. Whether passively or actively, you need to let the scriptures pour over you. And I go, oh, wow. Jesus, the ultimate vitamin, the ultimate mineral, the ultimate essential fatty acid, the ultimate glandular upregulator, the ultimate great physician. Hello? I mean, how many names does he have?
Yeah.
What do you call him, the king? What is the name that's resonating for you today in Christ the Lord, Christ the King over you? And how is he going to resonate inside of every one of your cells and create a vibration that people can't ignore, that people can't not see and get excited about? Ooh, come on.
It's good.
Let's go. Preach, Choppy. Get after it. And you get me in that ring, and I get fired up. And so sure enough, man, I did exactly as she said, and I literally the next morning, I just pushed play, and I kept pushing play. I even put it in my headphones one morning at the gym, and I was just listening, because I was listening passively, right? And I was just letting my spirit man be filled. I was letting my subconscious be retrained that it's going to be in alignment with the Word, and I'm going to let His Word speak over me so that I can then have the strength and fortitude to rise up and on wings like eagles, to run and not be weary, to walk and not be faint, and then to be able to walk boldly before the throne of grace and get back actively praying without ceasing and being cheerful and being alive and being vibrant, being thankful, and then realizing, oh, look at that, just found a penny. Look at that, just found another piece of goodness to be thankful for today. And I just go, Lord, you're so good. You're so good. You're so good. And then you have that extra energy to go home and love on your kids. And then I start fumbling through my supplement pantry, and I go, hey, we really must need a ribonucleic acid today, because I brought not one but 2 bottles and didn't realize I grabbed both. But look at that. And but what the power. Ribonucleic acid, let's transcription factors. Let's turn on the brain in such a way. So if you've got a kid with ADD, ADHD, if you yourself struggle with understanding, they're maracas. You could probably make us a tune. And what winds up happening is you start coming in with these transcription factors, reprogramming your software in your skull, that little brain, those brain tissues, and a synaptic firing capacity starts going up. And then guess what happens? Whoo, baby. Your brain starts turning on north to south, and now you're going to maximize not just that hormonal chain that we've been talking about all morning, but you're going to maximize the neural connective pattern. You're going to make sure every synaptic system has been washed, bathed, cleaned, and you're going to see something in like having new spark plugs in a car. Your car is just going to run all that much better. And this is where you can get real fired up, because when the brain is working with the hormone system, when the hormone system is working with the brain, your chances for success, your chances for productivity, your chances for creativity go up onward, goodward, and Godward, and that just should get us all fired up, because here is, again, the tools. It makes sense. It's not a stretch to appreciate that if you feed your brain and feed your endocrine system and you're giving food to these tissues, that they're going to do their job better so that you can perform outwardly better for everybody to see.
Dr. Chapa, there was a question that came in. We're talking about tools and supplements and different things you can take it for. So this is a question from Donna. She said, do you guys recommend activated charcoal, and what is it good for?
Yay, Donna, great question. I love cleansing. I love detoxification. And so activated charcoal is in that binder arena, and what it does is it acts like a adsorbent, not an absorbent like your paper towels, but like an adsorbent. It binds up and brings things together, and it pulls toxins into a pocket. And in the olden days, when a well went bad because of a dead rodent or something that fell in the well, it rotted and it would ruin the well. Well, it's very difficult to dig a well. That's not an easy thing to do. Mm-hmm. And so losing a well was big problem. Well, activated charcoal, bentonite clays, these substrates are able to go into these wells. You can throw them down and they will basically bind up all the toxin in something that can actually be picked up, and they could shift a bucket down there and get it, and then save the well. And that's kind of how it works in your body. So it never technically goes in your body, because you got to remember that when you take activated charcoal, when you take bentonite clay, these things are in your digestive tract, but inside your digestive tract is not technically inside your body until it crosses over the cellular tubular membrane. And so this product will pull 10,000 times its weight trash out of the bowel. It will pull toxins that your body has been trying to get rid of for weeks out of the bowel. I look at it like a little a vacuum with a pointy nozzle on the end that's got to get in some of those small crevices. So inside your digestive tract at the microscopic level, you have these little finger-like projections called villi and microvilli that increase the surface area for absorption into the bloodstream so that we can get more nutrition in when food's passing by. Because the longer food sits in your bowel, the more potential it can rot and putrefy and become a poison to you, not a good thing. So you don't want food to sit too long. You don't want food to sit to not sit at all. It's got to be in there long enough for those microvilli and little bacterium to clean house on and take what it needs and build that silver platter for nutrients. So we use something like the bentonite and the activated charcoal to go inside the crevices of those finger-like projections all the way to the base of each one of those little finger-like projections to clean house, to pull out, just like the well, the trash from the depths of your intestinal microvilli lining. Isn't that a cool picture?
That is awesome.
It is bad to the bone.
I learned something about the way wells used to work, and actually one of my friends yesterday had an issue with their well. They live in Santa Fe, and I guess they don't have city water, and so I was thinking about how much of a headache that is. But that analogy, if your well is messed up, hey, it's going to be a lot of work maybe to save the well.
Yeah,
and so
I see.
Our body's the well.
I just laughed at that. Our body's the well. Save the well.
Save the well.
And not W-H, but W-E-L-L.
I think of Save the Clock Tower, Back to the Future.
I
That's what it
love
reminded me of.
Save the clock
You
tower.
got to save something. What's worth saving to you? The well, your body.
Oh, it's beautiful. Right before the magic kiss, right? Dang it. Sorry, Marty, you didn't get the kiss. But you can put some coins in the old clock tower bucket.
In God we trust. It goes back to the coin. Yeah.
That's right. It goes back to the coin. So, yes, good question. So we use a product called Intestinal Cleanse number 2. We use a GI Detox, and we use a product called Gastrex. All these have different types of clays in there, and those are products that we can use to soothe the GI tract, to cleanse the GI tract, or to create a massive pulling effect. And we have 5-day programs or even longer programs depending on the dose, but some of my major 5-day runs, I'm building a massive shift, a massive sucking power, a vortex, if you will, of energy to suck trash out of your bowels that doesn't belong. So it's a pretty radical program. and I'd love for you to take advantage of it. I have people that do it every month,
Mm-hmm.
depending on their situation. Every quarter at minimum, they do this 5-day run. And but man, what if we did teach people in a world that is full of processed food, junk food, and things that kind of cause stickiness to bind up our insides, and we did a regular cleanse on our bowels to make sure everything is firing on all 8 cylinders, running, clock, and ready to rock, like I like to say. And so I hope that that's helpful. That answers that question. And then kind of like jumping on that whole digestive boat, this is different herbs that we blend in the office. Like I'm always amazed, at what I don't know about herbs, but also what I do know about herbs. And so, this product here is a little different than my chamomile marshmallow that I use when you have an upset stomach. You have an intestinal infection, you have an intestinal virus, you have vomiting, diarrhea. Not to say that this product couldn't be used for that, but why I had this product designed is the chamomile is a bitter. Bitter herbs will stimulate mucous membranes to activate and to work more efficiently, to encourage better absorption, to just function better. But I also dropped licorice in this product because this is a product that we had when people deal with anxiety-based stomach aches. And so we'll use the licorice to regulate hormones in the stress pathway, in addition to the chamomile to increase those mucous membranes to help calm the body down, regulate cortisol, which is a very in excess a destructive hormone, and not a bad hormone. I mean, mind you, it is a destructive hormone if it stays high too long. It has value in regulating inflammation, and it's a good thing. It just, whenever we live in a culture where it is running hot all day, every day, forever and ever, amen, we get ourselves in a pickle. And so the licorice here helps to regulate the stress of the adrenal system. The chamomile helps the intestinal mucous membranes lubricate and work better together so they don't overheat, and that'll bring ease to the intestinal tract. So take a little swig of that. Ooh. It's pretty good.
How much would do, like a dropper?
Yeah, full dropper. Okay. And we call it stomach ease. So if you got an upset stomach and it seems to be more from anxiety-based wonder, like you're not quite sure why you have a tummy ache, and especially it happens to be the night before school, it happens to be the night before the big test, the morning of the big presentation, this is a product that is cash money.
Here's a question that came from Donna. She was asking about Adrena Calm and just these in general, I suppose, but are these safe to use on kids? And then she had another follow-up question.
Yep, absolutely. Everything that's up here is designed for humans. And so whether big or small, these are all products that are absolutely paramount to their wellness and vitality and turning them into tiny superhumans. And it is good.
That's actually delicious. I was expecting something different, but that's really good.
Yeah. And so, like, I bring things in here like INF Fighter. And guys, I didn't pay him to say that. I mean, people know I'm not afraid to tickle your taste buds.
I would say that's bad.
Light
like,
them up.
Oh, it's strong. But yeah, that's actually
very
really good.
soothing and very pleasant, actually. And it's just wonderful, when the system needs just a little bit of that getting up on the right side of the bed moment. Stomach Ease is a really cool product. And if you have acid reflux, indigestion, and it's not necessarily an anxiety that you can partake, that you can tell, man, you should use the Stomach Ease anyway because of the bitters will help reprogram the way the stomach manages stomach acids. And if you start, like Jennifer and I were working on myself one day, and she's like, you need to start taking like chamomile marshmallow 2 or 3 times a day, like throughout the day. Well, I don't have a stomach ache. She goes, don't matter, that's what you're testing for, take it. And I'm like, okay. And so but it goes back to the gut, and what if that consistency, sometimes I get caught in a pickle because I want to just take some of these as antidotal, symptom-based, models, but sometimes we need it therapeutically. It goes back to the holy basil concept. I don't need holy basil as much anymore because it's run its course. I built the pathway. I'm more adaptable, and not to say that I don't need it from time to time, or like I said, sometimes go, oh, where's my holy basil? And I reach for it, but I don't depend on it. And so none of these are products that I depend on per se, like a dependency, but I look forward to up-regulating my tissue. It's a perspective mindset that I'm in control of what I can be in control of. And that gets me really excited because if you have kids and they can't take pills, you can get creative in crushing these things up, opening them into a shake if they're capsules, or teaching them how to swallow, or using the creams, or using the liquids. We've got all kinds of tools, right? I just can't bring everything every week. And so these are just things that I'm using and doing. And then I go, why am I holding this information and not just taking it with me to the radio? Because this is my life. This is what I do. Like, I just can't not stimulate my kids. Like, one of my kids came down and goes, I think my throat's kind of sore this morning. I'm like, here, take these, sesame seed oil, Thymex, INF Fighter, and I can't remember something else. And calcium lactate, and I sent her off to school. She's fine, she went back, laid down for 25 minutes, and then boom, popped up and says, I feel great. And I'm like, okay, great, and then, but here's, I had a little kid come in yesterday, and I got her to take, chewable catalin, and chewable catalin is 200 phytonutrients and phytochemicals in a tablet. I mean, it is awesome. This stuff is like loaded with nutrition and very safe for kids. And so it really gets me, cranked up to share some of these ideas with her. What was our follow-up question?
So the follow-up question was asking about if y'all did any – okay, I'll read it exactly. This is from Donna again. She said, thanks. Do you do any testing to find out what specifically is wrong with someone's gut to see what they need?
Yes. And so we do stool tests in extreme cases. We listen to histories. We do some reflex work. We also do physical exams where we kind of poke and prod on the tummy. There's just so many different ways that we can go about figuring out where and why you have a need and where the body's breaking down and what you can do to fix it.
Awesome.
And so, so that's pretty cool. And so thank you for tuning in and asking that question there, Miss Donna. That's great news. So, well, obviously,
I don't want the show to be over because I still want us to know about these things.
I know, and I still got some time, so we're going to keep trucking.
Okay.
So here's what I would say in respect to my little fidget toys. So these are adult fidget toys, and I brought another one, and I'm kind of nervous because I'm going to go back out to my car hunting for it. It didn't. Only a part of it made it into the bag, and I'm freaking out because they're my fidget toys.
What am I going to fidget?
So anyway, so these are grip strength testers. So there's just so much science around grip strength and the power that the heart needs. So and these are this is 120 pounds of pressure, and you want to be able to take a grip strength and pull it together, hold it 120 pounds for as long as you can. So I can hold that for, at last check, it was about 18 seconds or so. I could probably go 30 if I just wanted to show off.
Is your right hand stronger than the left?
Yeah, for sure. So there's going to be a dominance, but I can get it on both. And
make it touch.
But you want to touch it, and you almost want it to click. And that is 120 pounds of power coming out of my right side and my left side of my ventricles if I can do it on both sides.
I don't think I can get it.
Can't get it. So this one's a little lighter, so I don't typically, just like you wouldn't go in the gym and grab your max weight and crank on that max weight, you want to build up to it. This is a 60-pound and 80-pound, and I use this one for 90 pounds to kind of warm up the tissues. And so what happens is I'll come in, and you can hear this one. I can bam this one together and click them together. And so what happens here is I'm driving down the road, and I'm literally cranking these out. And I'll turn my hand this way. I'll turn my hand this way. I'll stick it this way. And I turn it upside down. I use all kinds of creative things. I turn them this body positions while I'm driving, and these are like fidget toys, but it's creating health and vitality in the same every squeeze.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can, if you've not accustomed yourself to this, you can develop elbow tendinitises and stuff like that because this is exercise, and we underestimate how powerful joint mobility and neurological implications are in the brain just through finger, wrist, exercises. So I use these all the time. That's why they're here. They're in my car. And I was like, I've never talked about these. But I mean, that's easy, 60 pounds of pressure, with this guy. And you can, crank that around. You can order these. These are King of Crunch is the, I think, Captain Crunch or something. Yeah, Captains of Crunch. These are the,
that's cool.
These are the world-renowned, like, grip strength, like, superior ones that are used in competitions.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah.
and they have some that go even higher, like a whole set that goes up from here. And I'm like, I can't even imagine squeezing anything more than 120 pounds at this point. But as a male should be able to squeeze 120 pounds for 30 seconds and be able to do 10 reps, in each hand. Okay, and I'm still building up to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's hard.
And a female should be able to do 60 to 80 pounds in each hand, relatively effortlessly the same. And that's power to the heart. And so if you don't have these and you don't want to spend the money on the fancy dancy ones, this is an adjustable one that I use, and it goes from 20 pounds all the way up to 90 pounds. So my kids can even do this one.
Yeah.
Right. And it might be a little off. But who cares? That's not the point, right? I'm not going into, flex competition and figuring out what I can grip more than somebody else.
But imagine if you did.
But imagine if I did. I'd
You
squeeze
could.
your skull. Oh, sorry. I got a little carried away. That's the boy in me. And then my kids love this one, but this is actually designed for adults too. This is called the mini tug. And what the tug does is it is for fingers. Ooh. It's a finger tool.
Yeah.
So it literally, you strengthen the intrinsic muscles of the hand, in addition to the individualizing the flexors of the wrist or the forearm. And so you want to be able to squeeze these things, and each one of these areas the same game. So,
Wow.
You're going down, and these are just different muscle groups that are getting worked on. And, again, this is creating finger dexterity for a guy like you that plays strings. This would improve and frankly, prevent bulletproof, if you will, carpal tunnel, or some of the guitar syndromes that we see with people that have, because you're not exercising these things when you're strumming, but you're doing cross training.
Yes.
You're strengthening your hands and your wrists to continue to play forever and ever and ever. Amen. And nobody wants arthritis. I call it what? Arthrongus, because I think there's nothing rightist about it. And so these are some of the bulletproofing tools to help.
Can I do it like this, like rest it right there and do the fingers still?
Yep, that's another way to do it.
Okay.
And so that's the other really cool thing about these. There is no magic in how you do it. It's be creative and do it every which way that you can create and think of. Turn it upside down and do it. It gives you a little different angle whenever you squeeze them together. And then, your kids, these little ones, that fits perfect in their hand, and it's this.
Yeah.
In their hand. So my 5-year-old will grab hold of that one, and she's in there trying to squeeze that together and make it click, And then she's trying to get her hands to wrap around this one. She goes, "Can I do it two-handed?" And I'm like, "You can do it however you want," because there's no rules. The goal is just to keep you active and mobile so that your heart it's like a test and a remedy to maximizing heart power.
Okay, and is that the answer to Molly's question? She said, "What does grip strength have to do with overall health?"
Yeah, it's pretty much it's dexterity, number one. It's strength in part of the wonderful thing about us as humans is we have opposable thumbs, so we're able to grab things and to uniquely work with our hands. So if your hands are messed up, it is a indicator that you've got problems coming, or you're in a current pickle. And so a lot of toxins will come down to the hands and the fingers or the feet and the ankles as toxins that your body can't deal with. And you'll start developing, Smurl's nodes and different little, basically bone cysts around the joints, and Heberden's nodes and rheumatoid inflammations and all kinds of stuff that is unnecessary. Like, there's a way to prevent and to reverse these things, and but simply on the biochemistry side, we actually will fix those things lymphatically, detox-wise, liver, or hydration and water, but simply getting you to actually create mobility. See, when you lose dexterity in your fingers, Nikolai Amosov is a Russian cardiologist that at 95 years old was still doing cardiovascular surgery out of Russia. And he said that can you imagine that guy?
I can't.
You're working on me? Are you sure, buddy? Can you see? And he says he attributes his dexterity, his steady hand, to joint and ankle joint mobility exercises that he's done his whole life, and so these are just tools to help maximize some of those aspects of health and wellness, and these are very simple fidget toys. And like I said, I had another one, but man, I'm sorry I can't bring that in. I'll bring it another time, because again, when you're driving down the road, there's no. I mean, you're a captive audience. You don't got much to do, especially if you're in traffic, but you can squeeze some things instead of squeezing somebody's skull or flipping somebody off. You know, you've got a tool here that can help you kind of relieve stress and to create health in the same vein, which I think is a powerful idea.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And so, well, here we are. We have come to yet the end
Sad.
of another show. But good news, we have a live show every week, and they can tune in where, Gardy?
You can listen back to the podcast of everything that happened today and the past several weeks and for years. If you go and search Just Live Well, it's the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center podcast. You'll see just Living Well's logo on there. You can subscribe to that and go back and listen to everything, and we'll get it uploaded here in a bit. Right now it's just after 10 o'clock, but we'll be able to upload that as soon as we get off the air.
Absolutely. And guys, I just want to say I'm so excited. I mean, we got through a lot of material today, so I hope that you guys go back, share this with your friends, family, and loved ones. This is why we have it on the podcast for you available, so that you can tune in anytime, or you can replay, you can speed it up, you can go through to the part that you want to hear most, and we want you to have these materials and these tools in your toolkit, so that whenever you're in a pickle and a conundrum, you got things to lean on. And then when you need help and you need to go the extra mile and dig a little deeper, give us a call, 281-554-8600, and let us help you find out why your body's breaking down and what we can do to turn you around. God bless you and have a fantastic day.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.